Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now the main headlines. Iraq's University of Babylon hosts symposium to address the dangers of atheism on young people. Hazara women in Australia launch campaign to draw attention to women under the Taliban rule. The United Nations decrees mass abduction of displaced civilians in Nigeria. And China's Xinjiang Authority urges Sinicization of Islam amid ongoing suppression of ethnic minorities. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Yunus Dawood and you're watching Shia Waves live from London, only on Imam Hussein TV 3. A group of scientists, researchers and academics in the Iraqi province of Babil emphasized the importance of safeguarding the young against atheism and negative behaviors to build them properly. The scientists' statements came during attending a scientific symposium titled Atheism and the Causes and Treatment Keys, organised by the Women's Affairs Unit at the University of Babylon. According to the university, around 200 people attended the symposium, including university officials, professors, students, religious scholars and Husseini preachers, to discuss this dangerous phenomenon affecting both Iraqi and Islamic societies. The speakers pointed out that there are psychological reasons leading to atheism and it is important to implement proper preventive measures against this dangerous phenomenon. They considered that immunizing young people religiously, culturally and intellectually is one of the most effective ways to confront such phenomena promoted by the West and opponents of Islam, stressing that guiding young people towards safety and immunizing them is the responsibility of religious, educational and cultural institutions in addition to governmental authorities. Hazara women residing in Australia have launched a 12-month campaign to draw attention to the women, the girls under the Taliban ruling regime. The campaign, titled We Stand With Women and Girls in Afghanistan, was launched on International Women's Day by the advocacy organisation Rural Australians for Refugees, Women for Change and Azadi Azan, targeted at governments and organisations to take action. Young women and girls in Afghanistan can no longer leave the house without male protection. They are being kidnapped and subjected to horrific persecution, including imprisonment, forced marriages and rape, said Hamida Samar, former worker in the Ministry of Defence in Afghanistan. Women and girls have become more vulnerable in Afghanistan since the Taliban took over once again in August 2021. According to reports, Afghanistan is the only country in the world that prohibits girls' education after the age of 12. Women are only allowed to work in female-designated areas like healthcare if they can work at all. The campaign has called on the Australian government to urgently find more creative ways to support education, hope and opportunity for all women and girls in Afghanistan. This includes prioritising visa processing for women at high risk, including women's human rights defenders. The United Nations condemned the mass abduction of over 200 internally displaced persons, or IDPs, in Nigeria's Borno state. According to the reports, the victims, mostly women and children residing in government-run camps, were abducted while searching for firewood in the forest. The United Nations have called for the immediate release of the victims and emphasized the traumatizing impact of conflict on women and girls. The international organization has also urged Nigerian authorities to provide more job opportunities for IDPs within their camps. Despite security measures, and the state government claims that 95% of Boko Haram terrorists are either dead or surrendered, many parts of Borno remain insecure and plagued by terrorist attacks. Let us remind our respective viewers of today's headlines. Iraq's University of Babylon hosts symposium to address the dangers of atheism on young people. Hazara women in Australia launch campaign to draw attention to women under Taliban rule. The United Nations decrees mass abduction of displaced civilians in Nigeria. Also tonight, India's President Modi visits Kashmir for first time since 2019. Talking to reporters at a briefing on the sidelines of China's annual parliamentary sessions in Beijing, regional party chief Ma Jinru reiterated the need for Islam in Xinjiang to be Sunnicized and praised the economic development in the region. The official also refuted allegations of forced labor and cultural genocide and highlighted the need to coordinate security and development in the face of ethnic separatism, religious extremism, and violent terrorist forces. Chinese President Xi Jinping has repeatedly pushed the Sunnicization of religions, including Islam's, Buddhism and Christianity, urging followers to pledge loyalty to the Communist Party above all else. This comes amid ongoing accusations of human rights abuses, including the damage or destruction of two-thirds of mosques in Xinjiang since 2017. And now we'll continue with some shorter news. The Ahl Bayt Cultural and Charitable Foundation in Basra, Iraq, has launched a program called School Competitions to promote awareness among school students. The foundation, in collaboration with Darrat al-Durar organization, initiated a special program for organizing cultural competitions within schools aimed at increasing the knowledge of students and enriching their intellectual capabilities. The director of the foundation, Sheikh Sadiq al-Basri, stated in an interview with Shia Waves agency, the initiative launched initially included 5 schools with the participation and presence of educational staff and public figures from Basra. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged the warring parties in Sudan to agree to halt hostilities during Ramadan, with the Security Council negotiating a British drafted resolution for a truce. Addressing the 15-member Security Council, Guterres said this cessation of hostilities must lead to a definitive silencing of the guns across the country and set out a firm path towards lasting peace for the Sudanese people. United Nations officials are concerned the conflict poses a risk of regional instability, warning that nearly 25 million people in Sudan are already in dire need of aid, with severe hunger plaguing some 18 million Sudanese. Guterres emphasized the urgent need for peace and humanitarian assistance in the country, highlighting reports that children are dying from malnutrition. The Indonesian government announced Friday the donation of 10 million doses of the BOPV polio vaccine to Afghanistan. The delivery was made in response to an appeal for the dire humanitarian situation in Afghanistan, where the United Nations World Food Programme estimates 23.7 million people need humanitarian aid and the country's health system struggles to combat infectious diseases, including polio. Indonesian health authorities have expressed gratitude to all parties involved in the initiative, especially UNICEF, noting it would support Afghanistan's vaccination efforts targeting 3.3 million children under 3 years old. Two terrorists were shot dead in separate operations last night in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, according to a military statement. The operation resulted in killing of terrorist ring leader Shamroz Shinai and recovery of ammunition and explosives from the militants who were reportedly involved in extortion and target killings of innocent civilians. 2 soldiers and 2 militants were killed in an exchange of fire in KP's Laki Maki Marawat district on Wednesday as the nation continues to face violence and terror activities. Researchers at the Instituto Butan in Sao Paulo, Brazil, have captured a groundbreaking discovery on camera, a species of worm-like amphibian known as Caecilian, feeding its young with milk-like substance. This Caecilian, descended from the same lineage as frogs and salamanders, have evolved to produce this unique substance independently. The particular species under study, Cephalus Anubis, exhibits a fascinating behavior where the newborns consume their mother's skin for nutrition. This process, observed by biologist Marta Antonizia, has her team led to the revelation of a milk-like secretion coming from the mother's tail, containing lipids and sugars akin to mammalian milk. The study, published in the journal Science, sheds light on the remarkable adaptations and shared characteristics among diverse animal groups. It is the time for the Maghrib Adhan here in London. See you after the break, inshallah.
بسم الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday paid a visit to Jammu and Kashmir for the first time since the autonomy of the disputed region was abolished in August 2019. In a gathering in a highly fortified sports stadium in the capital, Srinagar, Modi blamed the dynastic politicians who have ruled the region for most of its turbulent past for keeping people chained to the abrogated special laws and credited this government for giving voting rights and job reservations to several communities. His trip to Kashmir came ahead of general elections in India, where Modi is looking to win a third term in office. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's remind our dear viewers of today's headlines. Iraq's University of Babylon hosts symposium to address dangers of atheism on young people. Hazara women in Australia launch campaign to draw attention to women under the Taliban rule. The United Nations decrees mass abduction of displaced civilians in Nigeria. China's Xinjiang Authority urges Sinicization of Islam amid ongoing suppression of ethnic minorities. And India's Modi visits Kashmir for the first time since 2019. You can view the latest news on the Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of your screen. Thank you for watching, and we pray to Allah the Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So my grandfather settled in Iraq and embraced the faith of Shiism. I began university at the time of 9/11, and so it was really an interesting time for us as Muslim students going into university with a whole lens of fear around terrorism and discrimination. We've had families stay in our house